There are a lot of outstanding features on the Infinix Hot 40 Pro. For users that are interested in large storage, it comes with 256GB of internal storage. The processor too is a highly gaming processor, making gaming performance smooth and efficient. The camera holds a 108MP sensor, which is massive, considering that phones in the Hot series are budget phones. So in this video, I will take more time to examine how good this camera is. The Infinix Hot series is supposed to contain budget phones. It is amazing to see the way Infinix keep pushing the specs higher than expected. This is exactly what Tecno did with the Spark series when they launched the Tecno Spark 10 earlier this year. Aside from these specs I already mentioned, the Hot 40 Pro also comes with a 120Hz refresh rate display that supports the dynamic bar. With all these features comes the price. We are talking about 196,000 naira. That's almost 200,000 naira. Let's talk about the price for a moment. I keep saying that budget phones are no longer budget friendly. If you are looking to buy a phone with a budget of less than 120,000 naira, you better look away. But honestly, the specs here are so lovely. For example, it supports Folax AI Assistant. Folax is the same as iTel's Havana Assistant and Tecno's Ella. It also supports Social Turbo with some cool features that gives you control over online video calls. For example, when making a video call on WhatsApp, you can record the call with this Social Turbo. Inside the box, it is first packed with the phone itself, a SIM tray remover tool, a transparent bumper case, a 33W fast charger, a Type-C cable, and an earpiece. This particular design no longer interests me, and as I said in my previous video, if Transsion Holding will keep launching phones with this particular style, I might stop talking about their design. This is the Tecno Spark 20 and this is the Infinix Hot 40 Pro. There are noticeable differences here, but the style remains the same iPhone clone design. The phone feels elegant and compact with a dual speaker setup. The quality of the audio from the speaker is a fine improvement from Infinix. The speakers don't only sound nice, they also have bass. The phone is also designed with a front and back LED light, so you can have the 360-degree flashlight when you turn both LED lights on. I thought that the front flashlight would also indicate charging when the charger is plugged in, but it doesn't. I guess we might not be seeing the charging indicator lights on Infinix and Tecno phones in the future because they have been replaced with the dynamic bar. The Hot 40 Pro does support the dynamic bar, so when you plug in a charger, it pops out in place of the charging indicator light. At this point, if you are still waiting for me to tell you to hit the like button, I will tell you to do so. Please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And there's also a thanks button under this video. You can use it to appreciate what I do here with as low as 400 naira. The two major highlights of the Hot 40 Pro are the 108MP camera sensor and the Helio G99 processor. So let's start with the camera. At the back, there are three main camera sensors. The one at the top is the main camera that does most of the job, like taking high-resolution pictures. The second one is a 2MP macro lens used in taking pictures of very tiny objects. The sensor at the side is an AI camera that mostly assists the main camera in taking better pictures. The camera app is packed with 16 modes, which in my opinion is a bit too much. The video mode of both the front and back cameras can record footage in 4 resolutions: 720p at 30 frames per second, 1080p at 30 frames per second, 1080p at 60 frames per second, and 2K at 30 frames per second. But let's see what this camera can really do. Starting with the front 32MP camera, pictures are very detailed, nice and sharp. The portrait mode does well in blurring background effectively without sacrificing the quality of the image. There are a lot of cameras I have reviewed in the past. Once you switch to portrait mode, the sharpness of the main object will reduce as the background is blurred. But the Hot 40 Pro can still retain the original quality in portrait pictures. The video mode is still a good one on this front camera. One thing I love about it is the ability to change background blur before recording a video. The only noticeable downside here is that edges of the main subject blends into the background when focus level is at maximum. What is needed here is the ability of the front camera to separate the subject from the background. It is just not possible with this camera when the focus level is on. Aside from this, the camera is perfect for every use. The back camera supports a lot of shooting modes as I mentioned earlier, but let's review a few of them. Starting with the Super Night mode, there is a noticeable difference in the camera's ability to enhance the quality of pictures taken in the dark. I soon found that the more extra light you get, the better the quality of enhancement. So in the long run, the camera still needs a bit of lighting, even if it is just small, for the pictures to be enhanced. The macro mode is one area where Infinix should be commended. Not that it takes exceedingly nice shots, but because the Hot series doesn't usually come with one. For the lens to give its best, you have to be within 4 cm near the main object, so you can take very nice extremely close-up shots with it. But I know of some phones with macro lenses that can go as much as 2 to 3 cm closer to the main object and capture more details. Maybe we'll get to see such a macro lens in a future Infinix phone. The next mode is the slow motion mode. You can choose 120 frames per second and get nice slow motion footage, or switch to 240 frames per second for much slower footage. This is not one of the areas where I will give Infinix credit. The recently launched Itel P55 5G supports a slow motion mode with almost the same footage quality. The regular photo mode takes nice high resolution images. By default, it doesn't activate the 108 megapixel sensor. So if you want even better high quality pictures, the 108 megapixel sensor has to be turned on. There is not much difference between a regular picture and the one taken with the 108 megapixel sensor if you look at both images side by side. You will realize the difference when you zoom in on both pictures. The one taken with the 108 megapixel sensor can zoom further and remain clearer. You can't use the 108 megapixel sensor to record videos, but the camera does allow you to make some customization. Basically, this is how video footage from the camera looks like. The 16 different camera modes on this phone is a way of giving users different options to explore on their camera. The problem is that a lot of users end up using only the photo mode and video mode. People are busy these days, and some of them what they just want is take a nice picture, take one very fine video and move on. But what do I know? The camera is a good one. The second major highlight of this phone is the processor. Helio G99 is no joke. This is the best 4G processor from MediaTek yet. This means that multitasking and heavy gaming should be easy peasy. Yet, a lot of my viewers on YouTube still want me to run a gaming test, like this guy, CrackTech. He said, can it run games smoothly, like Genshin Impact or Call of Duty Mobile? So, I installed both games on the phone and spent some time playing them. Starting from the download, the whole process was fast. I didn't have any issue downloading both games from Play Store and installing them, except for unstable internet connection from my internet service provider, which is not the fault of the phone. Even opening games for the first time didn't take much time as it would on other phones. The Hot 40 Pro doesn't lag or run slow during game time. You get this fast response from players when you tap on an action. For those who are used to efootball, playing a match with high graphics settings can be a pain in the back. The players will run slow and perform actions late, but you don't get to experience all this with the Hot 40 Pro, thanks to the processor. It also has a good battery life. Playing a live match on efootball not only drains data faster, but also drains battery quicker too. A 1 hour live match on this phone consumes less than 20%. This is more than fair. The phone too did not overheat. It got warmed up a bit, but not of serious concern. I remember when I tried to install the Genshin Impact game, I was required to download an additional file of about 3 gig. There wasn't strong internet connection at the time, so it took me about 4 hours to download it. The phone got hot, up to 33 degrees Celsius, but still very okay. And the battery went down to 7% from 51%. I'm talking about 4 straight hours of downloading a file at nearly full display brightness without the screen going off for a second. There is this viewer, Alpha Lord 1, that said, can the phone battery last up to 10 hours of straight gaming? There is no definite answer to that question because it will depend on the kind of game, whether the game requires internet connection, and the level of your screen brightness. From my experience, if you are playing a live match on efootball that requires strong internet connection at full display brightness, you might get between 5 to 6 hours of game time. I don't know about you, but this is fair. Another important question regarding this phone comes from Manke Shokoka. He said, can this phone receive Android 14 update? Infinix did not say anything about this, so we can't be sure of anything. But what we can be sure of is that if this phone were to be upgradable, Infinix will not keep mute over it. They will boldly write it inside their packaging box just to pepper their competitors. Now, let's move on to the display. This is an approximately 6.8 inches display, just perfect for those who love large screens. The display resolution is 1080 by 2460 pixels. It is very clear and bright. It easily responds to touch because the display is very sensitive. This display is perfect for watching movies, but I think I would prefer reading with it. Should you buy the Infinix Hot 40 Pro if you have the budget? Definitely, I will recommend. This is the younger brother of the Infinix Hot 40 Pro, which is the Infinix Hot 40i. Check it out. And just in case you want to buy this phone, use the link in the description. See you soon.